haven't ignored God. You pray, you believe, but nobody ever taught you what hosting an angel actually looks like. So you've been living with one and calling everything it does a coincidence. By the end of this video, you will never look at your home the same way again. Most people picture angels as floating golden figures blowing trumpets above clouds. That image comes from medieval European paintings, not the Bible. In Genesis 19, 2 angels arrived at Lot's house in Sodom. He saw 2 men sitting at the city gate. He invited them in. They ate his food. They sat at his table. Nobody in the street knew what was inside that house. In Judges 13, Samson's father Manoah had an angel visit his home repeatedly. He didn't know until the angel ascended in the flame of the altar. He had been hosting heaven and thought it was just a strange man. And then there is Hebrews 13:2. Some have entertained angels without knowing it. This is not poetry. This is a warning dressed as a reminder. The Bible doesn't describe angels as rare visitors who knock once and leave. It describes them as assigned residents, sent to your specific life, your specific address, your specific family. The question is not whether one is there. The question is whether you've been paying attention. You've noticed it. There's one room in your house. Maybe it's where you pray. Maybe it's just the corner by the window, where something feels different, heavier, quieter. You don't stay on your phone as long in that room. Arguments that start in the kitchen seem to dissolve when someone walks in there. Most people say it's just their favorite room, good lighting, a comfortable chair. But in Genesis 28, Jacob woke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God." He wasn't in a temple. He was lying on the ground in the open. But the presence of angels made the place itself feel different. And in Exodus 33, wherever the presence moved, the atmosphere of the location changed. People felt it before they understood it. You didn't choose that room because of the furniture. Something in that room chose you, and you've been feeling it for years without having the language to explain it. Now, the second sign. A toddler laughing at a corner of the room with nobody there. A child describing the tall man who stands by my bed at night. Not with fear, but with complete calm. A young child asking who the person in the hallway is when the hallway is empty. Parents say it's an overactive imagination. Too many cartoons. Kids make things up. But in Matthew 18:10, Jesus said, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father." Children have assigned angels. The Bible treats this as settled fact, not metaphor. And in 2 Kings 6:17, Elisha prayed, and his servant's eyes were opened to see the angelic army surrounding them. The army had been there the whole time. The servant simply could not see it yet. Children, whose minds have not yet learned to dismiss the unseen, may simply still have that sight. Your child is not making it up. They are seeing what you've been trained to ignore. And the most heartbreaking thing is that we spend years teaching them to stop. The third sign. The fire that stopped at your neighbor's fence. The flood that reached every house on the street except yours. The robbery that skipped your door. The car that swerved away just in time. You've shrugged it off as luck, chance, statistics. Rational people say insurance odds, random probability, coincidence cluster. But in Exodus 12:23, the angel of death moved through Egypt, and it passed over homes where the sign was present. The protection was location-specific. Your address mattered to heaven. Psalm 91 says, "No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling, for he shall give his angels charge over you." The word dwelling is deliberate. Angels are assigned to where you live. And in 2 Kings 6, the Syrian army surrounded the city. Elisha told his terrified servant, "Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." The protection was already in place. The servant just couldn't count it yet. Stop calling it luck. Your house has a history of survival that defies statistics. That is not random. That is assignment. The fourth sign. You're alone in the house, or you think you are. Suddenly, clearly, you hear your name. Spoken once, not shouted, just called. You check every room. Nobody. You ask your family later. Nobody called you. It happens more than once. Always in the house. Always calm. Never threatening. People say auditory hallucination. Half asleep, stress-induced. But in 1 Samuel 3, Samuel was lying in the temple when he heard his name called. He ran to Eli 3 times. Eli was not the one calling. The text says Samuel did not yet know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. The voice was real, the caller was divine, the location was specific. He was in the house of the Lord when it happened. And in Acts 9, Saul heard a voice on the road, a voice that identified itself, a voice that redirected his entire life. It started with being called by name. God called Samuel by name inside a building. Angels are messengers of the same God. If your name was spoken clearly in an empty room, the right response is not to check for a gas leak. The right response is what Samuel finally learned to say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." Now, this last sign is the one that will divide this audience. Half of you will hear it and immediately know exactly what moment I'm describing. The other half will hear it and call it overthinking. But stay with me, because biblically, this might be the most documented form of angelic intervention in human history. You were supposed to be somewhere. You had the plans, the ticket, the reservation, the meeting, and then something stopped you. Not an emergency, not illness, not a logical reason, just a feeling, an unease, a reluctance you could not explain, so you stayed home. And that day, something terrible happened exactly where you were supposed to be. People say gut feeling, anxiety, introversion, lucky timing. But in Genesis 19, the angels physically grabbed Lot's hand and pulled him out of Sodom before destruction came. He was hesitating. The angels didn't wait for him to feel ready. They moved him. Sometimes the intervention isn't subtle. Sometimes you are physically redirected, and you only understand it looking back. In Matthew 2, the wise men were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. They changed their entire route home. The redirection came from inside. A dream, a feeling, an inner warning. And it saved lives. The threat was real. The route change was angelic. And in Acts 16, Paul and his companions tried to go into Asia. The Holy Spirit prevented them. They tried Bithynia. The Spirit of Jesus would not allow it. They were redirected to Macedonia instead, where the gospel broke into Europe for the first time. The closed doors were not failure. They were assignment. Think about the day you didn't go. Think about the flight you missed that went down in bad weather. The party you skipped, the night something happened. The road you avoided for no reason the morning of the accident. You called it anxiety. You called it laziness. You called it a bad feeling. Heaven called it protection. And it originated from something stationed inside your home. Watching your schedule, knowing what was ahead, and quietly making sure you stayed. Here is what ties every single sign together, and why the Bible treats this as normal, not miraculous. Hebrews 1:14 asks, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" The word "sent" implies a specific dispatch, a specific destination, a specific person. You are not receiving general angelic coverage. You have been assigned a specific minister. Psalm 34:7 says, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them." The word encamps means to set up a military base, not a flyby, not a visit, a stationed presence. Your home is a campsite for heaven's military. And in Daniel 10, the angel told Daniel, "I was dispatched the moment you began to pray." Angels respond to the activity of your home. What happens inside your walls? Your prayers, your worship, your declarations affects angelic movement around your address. Your house is not just 4 walls and a mortgage. It is a coordinate in heaven's deployment map. Something has been stationed there. Something has been watching your children sleep, redirecting your decisions, standing between your family and what was meant to destroy you. And it has been doing this quietly, without credit, without acknowledgement. Because that is what it was sent to do. Starting tonight, walk your home differently. When you move through your house, do it with the awareness that you are not alone. Pray in every room, not a long prayer. Just an acknowledgement. Lord, I thank you for what you've stationed here. What you acknowledge, you activate. Stop silencing your children. The next time a child in your home describes seeing someone, don't dismiss it. Ask questions. Create safety for them to describe what they experience. You may be the first adult who finally listens to what heaven has been trying to show your family through the clearest eyes in the house. And start a deliverance log. Write down every near miss, every redirection, every moment of unexplained peace, every disaster that skipped your address. When you see it all in one place, what looked like a series of coincidences becomes an undeniable pattern of assignment. Nobody told you this, because most people who teach about angels focus on the dramatic, the appearance, the wings, the fire. But the most powerful angelic work in your life has never been dramatic. It has been quiet, consistent, daily, hidden in the ordinary moments of your ordinary home, and it has been happening since the day you moved in. Heaven knows your address. The only question left is whether you know who's there with you. Your house is not empty. It never was, and now, you know. If what you just watched stirred something in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to know that God has not forgotten their address. And if you are hungry for more content that pulls back the curtain on what heaven is doing in your everyday life, hit the like button and subscribe to Bible Decoded. Heaven is closer than your ceiling. God is more present than your problems. And your home has never been as empty as it felt.